Mornings were my favorite time of the day. The city was just waking up, and everything felt fresh and full of possibility. My routine was simple but comforting. A brisk run around the neighborhood, followed by a stop at the local cafe for a strong cup of coffee. That particular morning started like any other, but it would turn out to be anything but ordinary. I walked into the cafe, greeted by the familiar aroma of freshly brewed coffee and the soft hum of chatter. I nodded at Sam, the barista, who knew my order by heart. The usual, right? Sam asked with a smile as he started preparing my drink. You got it, Sam, I replied, settling into my usual corner by the window. As I sipped my coffee, I pulled out my notebook. I like to jot down my thoughts or sketch a little before heading to work. It was my quiet time, a moment to myself before the day's chaos began. I was so engrossed in my doodling that I almost didn't notice when someone sat down across from me. Mind if I join you? A voice asked, breaking my concentration. I looked up to see a man with a warm, disarming smile and a twinkle in his eye. He looked about my age, maybe a few years older, and had an air of easy confidence. Sure, go ahead, I replied, a bit surprised but not annoyed. The cafe was crowded that morning, and it wasn't unusual for strangers to share tables. I'm Alex, he said, extending his hand. I just moved to the neighborhood and thought I'd explore a bit. I shook his hand, feeling the firmness of his grip. Nice to meet you, Alex. I'm Jamie. This is the best coffee shop in town, by the way. Good to know, he said, glancing around the cozy cafe. I've been here a few times already, and I can see why it's popular. We fell into an easy conversation. Alex had a way of making you feel like you were the most interesting person in the room. He asked about my job, my hobbies, and even my favorite books. It turned out we had a lot in common, from a love of adventure novels to a passion for hiking. So, what brought you to this city? I asked, genuinely curious. Alex took a sip of his coffee and leaned back. I needed a change of scenery. My job allows me to work from anywhere, so I thought, why not? This place seemed like a good fit. That's brave, I said, admiring his spontaneity. I've lived here my whole life, and I can't imagine just picking up and moving like that. It's not as hard as it seems, Alex replied with a shrug. Sometimes you just have to take a leap of faith. We talked for hours, the conversation flowing effortlessly. It felt like reconnecting with an old friend rather than meeting someone new. I learned that Alex was a freelance writer, traveling wherever his stories took him. He had an adventurous spirit, always looking for the next big story. As the cafe began to empty, I realized how much time had passed. I should probably get going, I said, reluctantly glancing at my watch. Work doesn't wait, unfortunately. Alex smiled. Yeah, same here, but it was great talking to you, Jamie. We should do this again sometime. Definitely, I agreed, feeling a strange sense of excitement. How about tomorrow morning, same time? Sounds perfect, Alex said, standing up and giving me that warm smile again. See you then. As I walked out of the cafe, I couldn't help but feel that my life was about to change. Meeting Alex was unexpected, but it felt right. Sometimes, the best things happen when you least expect them. And that morning, I had a feeling this was just the beginning of something special. The weeks that followed my unexpected encounter with Alex were some of the best I'd had in years. We met every morning at the cafe, our conversations growing deeper with each passing day. It was refreshing to connect with someone who shared my interests and challenged my perspectives. Alex's zest for life was contagious, and I found myself looking forward to our chats more than anything else. One evening, we decided to break our usual routine and meet at the park instead. The sun was setting, casting a golden glow over the trees and the lake. We strolled along the path, enjoying the serene beauty of the moment. Alex seemed a bit distracted, his eyes scanning the horizon as if searching for something. Beautiful, isn't it? I said, trying to draw him out of his thoughts. Yeah, it really is, he replied, but there was a hint of something else in his voice. Excitement, maybe even nervousness. We found a bench near the water and sat down. Alex turned to face me, his eyes alight with a mix of determination and enthusiasm. Jamie, he began, I've been thinking a lot about us and the conversations we've had. You're someone I feel I can trust, and I have a proposition for you. Proposition? I echoed, intrigued. What kind of proposition? He took a deep breath, then plunged ahead. I travel a lot for my writing. I go to places most people only dream of, and I experience things that are hard to put into words. But it's not always easy doing it alone. I want you to come with me. I blinked, taken aback by the suddenness of his invitation. Come with you? You mean, like, travel together? Exactly, Alex said, his eyes sparkling. Think about it, Jamie. You've told me how much you love exploring new places and learning new things. Why not take that passion to the next level? We could go on adventures, see the world, and write about our experiences. It would be incredible. I was silent for a moment, letting his words sink in. The idea was thrilling, no doubt about it, but it was also daunting. Leaving behind my stable job, my friends, my routine, it was a lot to consider. Alex, I don't know, I said finally. It's a huge decision. What about my job? My life here? He leaned forward, his gaze steady. I get it, Jamie. It's a big step. But think about what you could gain. The experiences, the stories, the memories. Sometimes you have to take a leap of faith to find out what's really out there. His words echoed the sentiment he had shared with me on that first day at the cafe. Take a leap of faith. I looked out at the shimmering water, contemplating the possibilities. It was a chance to break free from the monotony of my everyday life and embrace something new and exciting. But what if it doesn't work out? I asked, voicing my deepest fear. Alex smiled, a reassuring warmth in his eyes. Then at least you'll know you tried, and I'll be right there with you, every step of the way. We'll face whatever comes together. His confidence was infectious, and I felt a stirring of excitement in my own heart. Maybe this was exactly what I needed. A chance to shake things up, to see the world from a new perspective. All right, I said slowly, a smile spreading across my face. Let's do it. Let's take that leap of faith. Alex's grin was radiant. You won't regret it, Jamie. This is the start of something amazing. As we sat there, watching the sun dip below the horizon, I felt a surge of anticipation. My life was about to change in ways I couldn't yet imagine, and for the first time in a long time, I was ready to embrace the unknown. The days following Alex's invitation were a whirlwind of emotions. I was excited, scared, and everything in between. The idea of leaving my comfortable life behind was both thrilling and terrifying. I found myself constantly thinking about the possibilities and what this decision would mean for my future. I spent hours weighing the pros and cons, scribbling lists in my notebook, and pacing around my apartment. My friends were divided in their opinions. Some thought I was crazy for even considering such a drastic change, while others encouraged me to seize the opportunity. One evening, I invited my best friend, Sarah, over for dinner. I needed her perspective, someone who knew me better than anyone else. Okay, spill it, Sarah said as she sat down at my kitchen table. What's got you all tied up in knots? I took a deep breath, trying to find the right words. It's Alex. He invited me to travel with him, to see the world and write about our experiences. Sarah's eyes widened in surprise. Wow, that's huge. What did you say? I told him I'd think about it, I admitted, pushing a strand of hair behind my ear. But I can't stop thinking about it. I mean, it's everything I've ever dreamed of, but it's also a massive risk. What if it doesn't work out? Sarah leaned back in her chair, considering my words. Jamie, you've always been the sensible one, the one who plays it safe. Maybe it's time to take a chance, to do something just for you. What's the worst that could happen? I sighed, feeling the weight of the decision pressing down on me. I could leave my job, my friends, everything I've built here, and it could all fall apart. I could end up with nothing. But what if it doesn't fall apart? Sarah countered. What if it turns out to be the best decision you've ever made? You'll never know unless you try. Her words echoed Alex's sentiment, and I felt a flicker of hope. Maybe this was the adventure I needed, a chance to break free from my routine and see the world from a new perspective. You're right, I said slowly, a smile starting to form. It's time to take a leap of faith. The next morning, I woke up with a sense of clarity. I called my boss and arranged a meeting to discuss my decision. As I walked into his office, I felt a mix of nerves and excitement. Jamie, come in, Mr. Thompson said, motioning for me to sit. What can I do for you? I took a deep breath and met his gaze. Mr. Thompson, I decided to resign. I've been given an opportunity to travel and write, and I can't pass it up. He raised an eyebrow, clearly surprised. This is unexpected. Are you sure about this? Yes, I am, I replied, feeling more confident with each word. I've thought about it a lot, and I believe it's the right choice for me. Mr. Thompson leaned back in his chair, nodding slowly. Well, I can't say I'm not disappointed to lose you, Jamie. You've been a valuable part of this team, but I understand the need to follow your dreams. I wish you all the best." I left his office with a sense of finality, but also a feeling of liberation. The hardest part was over, and now it was time to embrace the adventure ahead. That evening, I met Alex at the cafe, our usual spot. He looked up from his book as I approached, a hopeful smile on his face. "Well," he asked, closing the book and giving me his full attention. "I'm in," I said, my heart pounding with excitement. "Let's do this. Let's travel the world together." Alex's grin was infectious, and he reached across the table to squeeze my hand. "You won't regret it, Jamie. This is going to be incredible." As we sat there, discussing our plans and dreaming about the future, I felt a sense of anticipation I hadn't felt in years. My life was about to change in ways I couldn't even begin to imagine, and, for the first time, I was ready to embrace the unknown. The decision was made, and there was no turning back. The day had finally arrived. I stood in my apartment, looking at my packed bags and feeling a mix of excitement and nervousness. Everything I owned was either in those bags or stored away, ready for my new adventure with Alex. The reality of what I was about to do was sinking in, but I felt a sense of anticipation that made my heart race. Alex arrived right on time, his eyes sparkling with excitement. "Ready to go?" he asked, grinning as he grabbed one of my bags. "Ready as I'll ever be," I replied, trying to match his enthusiasm. "I can't believe this is actually happening." We loaded our bags into his car and set off for the airport. The city streets seemed different, almost surreal, as if they knew I was leaving them behind. I watched the familiar landmarks pass by, feeling a pang of nostalgia mixed with the thrill of what was to come. At the airport, we checked in and made our way to the gate. The atmosphere was buzzing with people going on their own adventures, but I felt a special kind of excitement knowing this was just the beginning for us. As we waited for our flight, Alex turned to me with a smile. "First stop, Paris. Have you ever been?" I shook my head. "No, but I've always dreamed of it. The Eiffel Tower, the art, the food, it sounds amazing." "Well, you're in for a treat," he said, his eyes twinkling. "Paris is just the start. There's a whole world out there waiting for us." Our flight was called, and we boarded the plane, settling into our seats. As the plane took off, I looked out the window, watching the city shrink below us. It felt like leaving one life behind and starting a new one. When we landed in Paris, I was immediately struck by the beauty and vibrancy of the city. The streets were bustling with people, the architecture was stunning, and the smell of fresh pastries filled the air. We checked into a charming little hotel in Montmartre, our room offering a perfect view of the Eiffel Tower. "Wow," I breathed, taking in the view. "This is incredible." Alex smiled, coming up beside me. "It is, and it's just the beginning. Tomorrow, we'll explore the city. But tonight, how about we find a cozy cafe and celebrate the start of our adventure?" We found a quaint cafe just a few blocks from our hotel. The atmosphere was warm and inviting, with soft music playing in the background and the scent of fresh coffee in the air. We sat at a corner table, ordering croissants and coffee. "To new beginnings," Alex said, raising his cup in a toast. "To new beginnings," I echoed, clinking my cup against his. As we sipped our coffee, we talked about our plans and dreams. Alex wanted to see the world and write about the people and places he encountered. I wanted to find inspiration and maybe write my own story someday. "Do you ever wonder what brought us together?" I asked, looking into his eyes. "Fate, maybe," he replied with a smile, "or just good luck. Either way, I'm glad it happened." "Me too," I said softly, feeling a connection that was growing stronger every day. The next morning, we set out to explore Paris. We visited the Louvre, marveling at the art and history. We walked along the Seine, taking in the beauty of the city. And of course, we climbed the Eiffel Tower, the view from the top taking my breath away. "Isn't it amazing?" Alex said, standing beside me as we looked out over the city. "It is," I agreed, feeling a sense of wonder. "I can't believe we're really here." "And this is just the beginning," he said, his excitement infectious. "There's so much more to see and do." As we continued our journey through Paris, I felt a sense of freedom and possibility I had never known before. Each day was a new adventure, each moment filled with discovery and joy. The journey had begun, and I couldn't wait to see where it would take us next. Our days in Paris flew by in a blur of art, history, and incredible food. Alex and I explored every corner of the city, from the bustling streets to the quiet, hidden gardens. But it was one night in the Sahara Desert, under a canopy of stars, that everything changed. After leaving Paris, we traveled through Spain and Morocco, finally arriving at a remote desert camp. It was unlike anything I had ever experienced. The vast, silent expanse of sand, the cool night air, and the stars shining so brightly they seemed within reach. We sat by the campfire, the flickering flames casting a warm glow on Alex's face. He seemed more reflective than usual, his usual carefree demeanor replaced by something deeper. "Jamie, there's something I've been wanting to tell you," Alex said, breaking the comfortable silence between us. I looked at him, sensing the gravity in his tone. "What is it, Alex?" He took a deep breath, staring into the fire. "There's a reason I've been traveling so much, beyond just writing and adventure. I've been searching for something, a legendary artifact. It's said to hold unimaginable power." My eyes widened in surprise. "An artifact? What kind of power?" "It's called the Heart of the Desert," he explained. "It's a gem that, according to legend, can grant its holder immense wisdom and strength. I've been following clues for years, and I believe we're close to finding it." I was stunned. This was a side of Alex I hadn't seen before. "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" "I didn't want to drag you into something dangerous without knowing if we could really find it," he admitted. "But now that we're here, I need you to know the truth. This journey is about more than just seeing the world. It's about discovering something extraordinary." I sat back, trying to process what he had just told me. It was a lot to take in. "So, what's the plan?" He looked at me, his eyes full of determination. "Tomorrow, we'll meet with a local guide who knows the area well. He claims to have information about the heart's location. If he's right, we could find it within the next few days." "And if he's wrong?" I asked, voicing my fear. "Then we keep searching," Alex said firmly. "I can't give up now, not when we're this close." The next day, we met with our guide, a man named Hassan. He was tall and lean, with a face weathered by the desert sun. He spoke in a soft, measured tone, but his eyes gleamed with the excitement of discovery. "I have heard of the Heart of the Desert," Hassan said as we sat in his tent. "Many have searched for it, but few have come close. The legends speak of a hidden oasis, guarded by ancient spirits. It is said to be in a place where the sands meet the stars." "Where do we start?" Alex asked, leaning forward eagerly. Hassan spread out a worn map on the table. "Here," he said, pointing to a spot deep in the desert. "This is where the clues lead. It will be a difficult journey, but if you are determined, I can guide you." "We're ready," Alex said without hesitation. As we prepared for the journey, I couldn't help but feel a mix of excitement and apprehension. The stakes were higher than I had ever imagined, and I was stepping into a world of myths and legends. That night, as we lay under the stars, Alex turned to me. "Thank you for coming with me, Jamie. I know this isn't what you signed up for." I smiled, feeling a warmth in my chest. I wouldn't want to be anywhere else. Whatever happens, we're in this together. He reached out and took my hand, giving it a reassuring squeeze. "Together," he echoed. As I drifted off to sleep, I felt a sense of resolve. The journey ahead would be challenging, but I was ready to face it with Alex by my side. The revelation had changed everything, but it had also brought us closer together. And, no matter what we found in the desert, I knew we were in for an adventure like no other. The journey to the hidden oasis was grueling. The desert was an endless sea of sand, the days hot and the nights cold. Hassan led us with unwavering confidence, his knowledge of the terrain and the legends invaluable. Despite the challenges, we pressed on, driven by the hope of finding the heart of the desert. After days of travel, we finally reached a secluded canyon, hidden from sight by towering dunes. The place felt ancient, untouched by time. As we descended into the canyon, I could sense a change in the air, a palpable tension that made the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. "This is it," Hassan said, his voice low and reverent. "The oasis is just beyond that ridge." Alex and I exchanged a look of excitement and relief. We were so close. We followed Hassan up the rocky path, and there, nestled between the cliffs, was a lush oasis, a stark contrast to the barren desert around it. The air was cooler, and the sound of water was like music to our ears. "We made it," Alex whispered, his eyes wide with wonder. "It's beautiful." But as we approached the heart of the oasis, something felt off. I noticed movement in the shadows, and suddenly we were surrounded by a group of armed men. They stepped out from behind the rocks, their faces masked and their eyes cold. "Hassan, what is this?" Alex demanded, his voice shaking with anger and confusion. Hassan stepped forward, a sad look in his eyes. I'm sorry, my friends. These men work for a powerful collector. He pays well for treasures like the heart of the desert. You betrayed us, I asked, my voice trembling with shock. I had no choice, Hassan said quietly. My family is in danger. I had to do what I could to save them. Before we could react, the leader of the group stepped forward, a tall man with a scar running down his cheek. Hand over the map and any information you have, he ordered, his voice cold and commanding. Alex clenched his fists, his eyes blazing with fury. We didn't come this far to give up now. The leader sneered. You have no choice. Give us what we want, or you won't leave this place alive. I looked at Alex, fear gripping my heart. Alex, please, we can't fight them. Alex's shoulders sagged, the fire in his eyes dimming. He reached into his bag and pulled out the map, handing it to the leader. Take it, he said through gritted teeth. The leader snatched the map from Alex's hand, his expression triumphant. Smart choice? Now, get out of here, and don't think about following us. Hassan stepped forward, looking at us with regret. I'm truly sorry, he said, his voice heavy with guilt. Save it, Alex snapped, his anger barely contained. Let's go, Jamie. We turned and walked away, our hearts heavy with betrayal. As we made our way back through the canyon, I could feel the tension between us growing. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore. Alex, what are we going to do? I asked, my voice breaking. He stopped and turned to face me, his expression a mix of anger and determination. We're not getting up, Jamie. They may have the map, but they don't know what we know. We'll find another way. But how? I asked, feeling hopeless. Alex took a deep breath, his eyes locking onto mine. We'll figure it out. Together, I won't let them take this from us. His words gave me a glimmer of hope. Despite the betrayal and the danger, I knew Alex was right. We had come too far to give up now. As we made our way back to our camp, I couldn't shake the feeling of betrayal. Hassan's actions had cut deep, but Alex's resolve gave me strength. We would find a way to continue our journey and uncover the secrets of the heart of the desert. The road ahead would be difficult, but we were in this together, and nothing would stop us from reaching our goal. The betrayal by Hassan and the ambush by the armed men had left Alex and me shaken, but not defeated. We returned to our camp with a renewed sense of determination. Alex was right. We had come too far to give up now. The heart of the desert was within our reach, and we wouldn't let anything stand in our way. As the sun set over the desert, casting long shadows across the sand, Alex and I sat by the campfire, poring over the remaining clues and our memories of the map. We had to piece together the information we still had and find another way to the hidden oasis. Do you remember anything specific from the map? I asked, my brow furrowed in concentration. Alex nodded, tracing a line in the sand with a stick. There was a symbol near the top right corner, like an ancient script. And the oasis was marked by a star. If we can figure out what that symbol means, we might still find the way. I thought back to the brief glimpses I had of the map. There were also some landmarks, like a series of rocks that looked like they were pointing in a direction. Right, Alex agreed, his eyes lighting up with hope. We need to find those rocks. They could lead us straight to the oasis. The next morning, we set out early, determined to retrace our steps and find the landmarks. The desert was vast and unforgiving, but we refused to be discouraged. We walked for hours, the sun beating down on us, until we finally spotted the distinctive rock formations. Look, I pointed excitedly. There they are. Alex smiled, a spark of triumph in his eyes. We're on the right track. Let's keep going. We followed the direction indicated by the rocks, our spirits lifted by the discovery. As the day wore on, we came across more clues. A dried-up riverbed, a cluster of ancient ruins, and finally, the faint sound of running water. We're close, Alex said, his voice filled with excitement. I can feel it. As we rounded a bend, the hidden oasis came into view. It was even more beautiful than before, the lush greenery and crystal-clear water a stark contrast to the surrounding desert. But this time, there was no one to stop us. We did it, I whispered, unable to believe our luck. Alex turned to me, his expression serious. Jamie, there's something I need to tell you. Finding the heart of the desert isn't just about the power it holds. It's also about what it represents. It's a choice between using that power for personal gain or for the greater good. I looked at him, confused. What do you mean? He took a deep breath, choosing his words carefully. The heart has the potential to change the world. It can bring wisdom, strength, and prosperity. But it can also bring destruction if used selfishly. We have to decide what we want to do with it. The weight of his words settled over me. This wasn't just an adventure, it was a responsibility. What do you think we should do? Alex met my gaze, his eyes filled with conviction. I believe we should use it to help others, to make the world a better place. But I can't make that decision alone. We have to decide together. I felt a surge of pride and respect for Alex. His willingness to think beyond himself, to consider the greater good, was inspiring. I agree. Let's use it for good. With our decision made, we approached the heart of the oasis. There, nestled among the rocks and foliage, was a small ancient chest. Alex carefully opened it, revealing the heart of the desert, a gem that glowed with an ethereal light. It's beautiful, I breathed, awestruck by its brilliance. Alex nodded, his eyes reflecting the gem's glow. It is, and now it's up to us to protect it and use it wisely. As we stood there, holding the heart of the desert, I knew that our journey was far from over. We had faced betrayal, danger, and uncertainty, but we had also found friendship, trust, and purpose. Together, we would navigate the challenges ahead, using the heart's power to make a difference in the world. The choice had been made, and our adventure was just beginning.